What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here with part 11 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Taurox the Brass Bull campaign. So as we saw last time, a little bit of a variety hour as we had various battles, whether it be against the forces of the Wood Elves, or the forces of the Dark Elves, or finally the forces of the Bretonnians, who we did very much bully with Taurox's army. Now, we ended the last episode off with me thinking that we were going to go out and destroy or take over the Oak of Prophecy for a herdstone. That was the plan until I realized that Taurox couldn't actually go here unless he was to switch to the Beast Path stance, which we couldn't do because even if we were to reset the movement range, you can't switch stances to beast paths. So I instead decided to ignore the Oak of Prophecy and move Taurox over here. There was a little tiny Bretonnian army right outside this, which I destroyed in between the episodes. There just had a couple of units in there, and now we're ready to attack Snide-Next-Snapper here, who has an actual full stack, and then right behind him, Grom the Paunch as well, so I think this will work out well as well. Otherwise, we'll be trying to catch Drika and destroy her faction this episode, and moving southward with Malagor, and hopefully we'll reach the next level of Ruination, which will unlock a new army capacity and get our 5th army up and running. Might be the ranged army. We could make it a Tzeentch sort of favored army, I think, because Tsangors have ranged attacks, so that would make the most sense to me, though we will then need to be upgrading one of the Tsangors locations, and maybe in Varan, I'm not sure. The thing is, we have to figure out where exactly we want this army on the field, and I think Malagor right now is the most isolated. Kazarak and Morgar can at least help each other out, and Taurox doesn't care that he's isolated, because there's very little that can deal with him, even if his army isn't yet quite ready for the big leagues. Taurox was born ready for the big leagues. Anyway, I digress. Let's start by attacking Mr. Snide-Next-Snapper here, shall we? You can stay in Beastmen ambush stance, I guess. We'll see if this works out. And work out it shall. Alright, fantastic. Now, the enemy does have 100 winds of magic, and we do have to be wary of those orc shamans. Those who watched the Grimgor campaign know just how threatening those big old stompy feet of Gork can be, though it looks like he has Headbutt and Brain Burst only. Though, to be fair, Headbutt is quite good as well. And we gotta watch out for spamming Gazes of Mork into our various already hurt units of Minotaurs. Before we get started, once again, we did manage to reach the threshold, or at least just barely so we'll be doing an hour episode this time around as well, and the offer still stands: 300 likes and 50 comments, and the next episode will be an hour long as well. Anyway, ambush, we're hurt, but, well, we're not so hurt that we can't butcher all of these gobos. Away. Alrighty, we're gonna start off hopefully easy with this ambush, though. Oh my, that is a concerning amount of arrows hitting one of the Razor Gore herds, but actually not that much damage because the Forest Goblin Spider Riders don't deal a lot of damage. The ranged ones, at least, do not deal a lot of damage. Those of you who watch the Grimgor campaign may very well remember, I think, 8 of them attacking a single Slayer unit for like 3 minutes straight and losing almost all their ammunition and only taking it down to like half HP, and that despite it being unarmored. Anyway, Taurox charging in. Wait, you sir are going to do, I'm just very curious how much damage he does on the charge. 13, oh, pretty good. Looks like he'll be up to 2k just by charging through this pile of units, and those units weren't even his target. The enemy orc shaman here is, as Taurox will want to bring it down and before the enemy is able to do anything. Otherwise, the rest of our units have engaged. The biggest pile of our fast movers are back here trying to capture the enemy spider riders and wolf riders and whatever other fast movers the enemy has before they get away. And damn, Hounds of Pestilence. What? These wolves are so tiny compared to those dogs. I mean, damn. And away you go. Away you go. I feel bad for the doggo, but that's about it. Alrighty. I'm back to it, and did I just speed it up? Yes, I did. My bad. Only for a second, though the seconds count quite a bit in these ambushes. Looks like Taurox is still chasing after the enemy shaman and has found the enemy war boss. Although it's merely a night goblin, and yeah, he's already down to half HP. A few more blows, and said war boss will be booking it out of there, along with his cave squig. And the rest of the enemy army is in bad shape. A gaze of Mork coming down and missing most of its shots by the looks of it. And it looks like the enemy war boss is either dead or running out. He's actually abandoned the fight with Taurox, leaving the shaman to his own devices. I mean, the shaman is an orc, so he should, in theory, be a little bit stronger, but somehow I doubt it. Alright, just gotta kill off the Night Goblin war boss now. Of course, the enemy's spider riders are all routing and then rallying as they do. They're going to be difficult to catch for this army, but the enemy force basically collapsed within a couple of seconds, so yeah. Alrighty, and ooh, perhaps in a smart move, the enemy war boss has actually found one of our shamans. Taurox spots him in doing so and heads directly towards him, and it looks like the war boss will shatter rather than face off against Taurox again. And the rest of this should be ours very shortly. Just a few more forest gabbos and wolf riders to kill off. I like that attack from the wild shaman though. Oh, fiery staff attack. It was pretty nice. But it is nice no longer, and I guess it was never nice to his foes. There we go. Little ambush is done in about 2 minutes. Actually fairly decently long for an ambush, but once again primarily only because of the fact that most of the enemy units were running away. There we go. Taurox had to bring down the enemy lord and before the battle is over, and we'll chase what we can, but I imagine a lot will escape. Alright, well, they didn't put up too much of a fight, but one thing that can be said for this goblin army is, damn are they quick. We were not able to catch pretty much all of the enemy cav because they just run away too darn quickly. Well, good for them. I guess we'll sacrifice the captain. It is 2k. I assume this army survives, so we'll need to attack it again, which means we can attack it again and then use Devour Captives. And the second time around, but the first time probably the money will be better. We need to upgrade a bunch of stuff shortly anyway. And then we will... Desolator. Melee attack plus 18, weapon strength plus 15. Well, that's just lovely for Taurox. Herdstone Keeper doesn't matter. We don't really care about the Chaos Corruption. Cataclysmic Rampage achieved. Oh, well, that's not good. There goes our movement replenishment. I guess we can't reach Grom in one turn. Well, that's a shame. It does allow us, however, to pick one of these. And I think the one that we're going to do now is the Hero Recruit rank plus 5 for Wargors, specifically. I think we'll want to get a few Wargors on the field. At least a couple for Kazrak, maybe one for Taurox. I mean... yes, he's a very bull-heavy army, but it really depends on what buffs the Wargors actually give to the army directly. And Kaz does need his Wargors, as they'll be part of his signature with his Bestigors. Anyway, I guess we'll be claiming this reward. That is indeed the Wargors. Good. And then we'll switch back into... well, I guess we're still in Beastmen ambush. Try it again. Destroy this little army, or the remnants of it. It's a double ambush. Alright. Hopefully this doesn't damage us too heavily. And, okay, it hurt the Bray Shaman a little bit, but that was bound to happen, and this time we'll heal up a little bit. Alright, nice. Now, unfortunately, by the looks of it, we cannot, in fact, reach a Grom the Paunch, so we'll set up into raiding oh, actually we can. I lied. In Juggernaut raiding we can. Now, Grom does have a full stack, and whatever he has in the settlement, but nonetheless... I guess maybe we'll turn after taking out Grom the Punch and then move back towards Oak of Prophecy, or we could destroy Grom and then head around to Kurun, loop back around this way, or even summon the next army here instead of with Malagor. And there's potential for that. Let's see what else we gotta do this turn. In fact, there isn't much, which means I guess we level up and then we go again. Alrighty, why not? I'm sure Taurox would appreciate it. Let's get Juggernaut here. Soon we'll be getting Titans of the Deep Forest as well. We just need the growth here to reach 20 so that we can unlock... Ooh. Godgore's capacity +2 at tier 5 as well. Oh, very nice. We need to get those grow and ice up. Alright, let's level everybody else though while we're here. You, sir. Still trying to head towards Arcane Conduit. I guess we'll continue moving through Mantle of Gorok here. Still fairly unlikely to use it though. Well, nonetheless, who knows? If we face somebody who's really tough to deal with... Actually, you know what? Let's get Corruption here, just for the Winds of Magic reduction of the cost. Is there any way that you can stack this even further? Just out of curiosity, now we got Potent, we got Weapon Strength, which is all fine. But it's not the... It's not the same thing that we're looking for. Anyway, Miss Cassie, yeah, alright, well. It was a dream, but not all dreams are meant to come true. Evasion for you, sir. And I guess we'll move it... Oh, I just realized. No. Nothing for you, sir. And because we want to keep the scouting up and running from Slaw, which actually isn't working anymore now. Yeah, just by clicking on this guy, scouting directs to him. Damn. Well, that ain't great. Alright, fine, then get scouting. Now it's at 15 at least. I really hate the way that works. Well, they really need to fix that. Not that it's a huge deal, but it is a minor enough annoyance to warrant being fixed, damn it. Alrighty. You, sir, are trying to head towards Deadly Onslaught. Let's get you call to more sleep, although you're pretty nice and defendy at the current time, nonetheless. That's fine. And then you can do the same thing, call to more sleep. Oh, I never got you Shadow Hide. Let's get you Shadow Hide. Alright, and then you do not have Shadow Hide either. Let's just get everybody Shadow Hide. Shadow Hide for everybody. Taurox, time to move again, sir. And Garben Hold, let's see what Grom the Punch has in store for us. We're even more damaged than we were before. But it is what it is. A close victory this time. And, oh my lord, he has a pile of Goblin Wolf Riders. But I suppose if they actually get in combat with those hounds, they will stand no chance. Ooh, there's some more Boar Boys in the defenders as well. Among the defenders. And then, of course, there's Grommy. Time for Taurox to give chase to him once more. Just out of curiosity, if we were to take Grung Zint and set it up as another Herdstone, that's nothing crazy. I guess we could do that. Oh, it overlaps with you. Not that that really matters all that much. This honestly isn't that much. Oh, look at that, Kurun. Ooh, I want to see what Kurun does for us. Charge bonus on armies faction-wide, +5. Don't really care about melee attack +5 when attacking Bretonia, to be perfectly honest. But charge bonus is certainly not nothing. I take it it's +5 per level of this. I'm going to assume that it'll be +25 at tier 5, or at least I'm going to be hoping, so it'll start at +20. Which will be pretty darn nice if it is indeed that end faction-wide at that, so we should head down to Kurun. Maybe this would be a nice place for another army. Anyway, I guess we're just gonna head on in there, aren't we? Wait, did you switch back to ambush stance? Oh, it's because you attacked the settlement, huh? Odd. I thought I switched you to Beastman raiding, or whatever the version of Despoilers raiding was it for Taurox. Not that it matters, away we go again. Alrighty, here we go, round 2 for this episode, and round 2 of Grom the Punch versus Taurox, and the skies look to be lit in the same color as Taurox's neck wound there. But I think that Grom is going to be much more wounded very shortly. Grom's down to about half HP from those first few hits, and Taurox is completely unharmed. So far, it looks like nobody's coming in to help Grom against Taurox, and you know what, fair enough. Vissen's wild form gonna come down on our units. Taurox will continue trying to chase Grom down. He does move fairly quickly to be able to chase Grom. Oh, they move at exactly the same speed due to Grom being debuffed by something. I'm not sure what's lowering his speed, but I'm happy about it, as it will enable Taurox to chase him down. Alright, looks like one more hit. Of course, the rest of... There we go. Damn, did he just... I just saw Grom's HP be at 1,000 and then he's dead, so I guess Taurox hit him real hard. Back to it, it looks like our Minotaurs are in the fight now. We're gonna pop a Devolve and a, well actually just a Vile Tab. We already popped the Devolve on the biggest blob of enemy orcs we can find, while the Minotaurs continue butchering their way through it. Alrighty, the rest of the battle is happening on the flanks as our fast movers are facing off against wolf spider riders and orc boar boys on both sides. So it looks like the boar boys and it looks like some trolls are routing pretty much immediately. Gotta love that low leadership on the trolls when it's not working against you, because these guys are basically at full HP and they're just running on out of there. Man, I guess against a force like Malagor's that likes to spam leadership reductions pre-battle, Trolls would be, well, let's just say not a particularly good pick. Anyway, the battle continues and looks like the main force of the enemy has also pretty much routed. The balance of power, however, remains only about 70% and maybe 65% in our favor, as the flanks are still embroiled in combat. Wolf Riders will have to be chased down. Boar Boys are not being chased and thus will return to the battle. And we do gotta remember that there are other orc boys still fighting out here, so the Bestigors, or not the Bestigors, the Razor Gores do have their work cut out for them. This is a lot of enemies for them to contend with, especially without Minotaur support, which they are pretty darn used to. Nonetheless, it's still that great classic Beastmen combo, and it's still working quite well for us. Balance of power creeping slightly further in our favor, about 70%, but yeah, now it looks like the issue is the orcs are routing at like 90% HP. Man, this is almost like fighting Skaven. They're routing at very, very high HP, and if you don't stop, you can't stop, rather, chasing them, or else they'll simply come back with their HP more or less good. So our army is effectively completely separated from each other now, all trying to fight in different locations and continue to chase down any enemies that they can. Gotta be careful with the no, you got one of our Hounds of Pestilence, and actually they've got several here. Definitely gotta be careful with these doggos. And that's why we're going to bring in a couple of our Gorbals to deal with those trolls, as they kill too many of those. Taurox is chasing around whatever other units he can reach. A nice Bloodbeast activation from him, and I'm sure that'll cause this unit to rout. Yep, there it is, broken and terrified, and just like Grom and the rest of his army. Bounce power continues to creep in our favor, now about 80, perhaps 85%, and it looks like this flank has finally been won, though the Minotaurs are still running around, chasing down units as best they can. When the enemy outnumbers you and then they rout at full HP, you just have to pick a unit and chase it, or else it'll come back, or just, you know, repeatedly attack the same unit. Gotta do what you gotta do. Does not make this a particularly cohesive looking battle. There aren't battle lines, there's no Death Star to speak of, really. Just a dozen little skirmishes all over the map. But hey, entertaining if nothing else because of the difference in this battle as compared to many others. Doggo's now chasing down some of those Orc Boar Boys. Gotta make sure they don't come back for, I think, a third time. And dish out the damage to them. Shattered now, lethal poison, and it looks like we're good. Finally, the rest of the enemy army will shatter after the long time of skirmishing with our forces. The battle will be ours, though, ooh, you, sir, are very badly hurt. We're gonna have to be careful with you, though I think he came in pretty darn hurt into the battle, so yeah, we'll heal him up. Alright, there we go. Sadly for Mr. Grom, the Great Green hope was broken as soon as Taurox chased him down. Otherwise, this battle felt a lot like just trying to get the enemy to engage. This feels like a decent reason to destroy this faction for good. If they're going to keep being annoying and building a bunch of Goblin Wolf Rider archers and just running away rather than fighting, I think I'd rather destroy them rather than have to deal with that again. So, we probably shall. Now, we do have a little bit of damage on our Brave Shaman of Wild, who did 18k damage and does tend to be good for it. 168 kills, better than Taurox, though the damage isn't nearly quite there. On one of our Gorbulls here as well, and 221 on this Razor Gore herd, and you know what? These Razor Gore herds and all of these doggos, I'm gonna give them names. I know I was gonna delete them originally, but since we're gonna swap them to a different army, eventually, we'll keep them. They're high ranking now, and they've done so good throughout this campaign. Damn, 23k. Very solid. Alright, and how about which of the Minotaurs did the best? Looks like it was you, sir. 179 for the other menaces and 22k damage, and then the other ones, other than the butchers, hovered around 10k. Alright, what do we have here? 3.2k, we can't turn down 3.2k, it's too much to turn down. Loot and raise, and don't run away. Alright, then, if we're going to, ooh, wow, 46, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. In fact, I guess we'll pop this now, won't we? Because the only other things that are in range are Castle Garamont and Castle Baston. Garamont will actually be in range of the Oak of Prophecy, like everything else around it, and I don't think we're going to send somebody as far as Baston, and either way, the Skaven are decently likely to destroy it. So, in that light, another ritual for us, which should definitely give us this next marker in a second. First, I want to make sure that we do what we need to do with Taurox here. Alright, we're not going to build a raiding camp because we're waiting for the Cursed Labyrinth, so we'll just put you into Juggernaut raiding again and start moving towards Grung Zint. Sadly, it'll probably be a while until you get another... Oh, wait, you re-upped your rampage, did you? Huh. Alright, well that's swell. Enemy leadership reduction, enemy melee defense... No, I hate enemy leadership reduction for Taurox's army. There's no need to force the enemy to ride. I think we're going to just take Unyielding Onslaught again. And continue heading to Savage Rampage, yet again. Maybe we'll even pop the Solar Eclipse at Dark Moon. It'll be soon after the previous Dark Moon, it'll depend on which buff we get. I actually don't know whether one buff will counteract the other, or whether it just acts for a specific number of turns, but, well, I suppose we'll see. So I have 5 turns for those War Gores as well. Let's perform this ritual. Yes. Alright, nice. Razor Gore Chariot for Slaw, finally. Pigeon Plucker Pendant will probably delete. Harsh Rampage achieved, we've already known. And 46 Marks of Ruination takes us, really closer to the next level as well. Which is more Herdstone Shards, which is great. More... and this unlocks the Rewards of Dread for army capacity, so the next one will enable us to just start building more armies, and that will ramp up our campaign as long as we get the requisite dread for it. Alright, pretty happy with that result, and I believe we're ready to end the turn. I guess we do have enough money to upgrade a few things. If we wanted to, I'm not sure which one / where. Altdorf might be a decent one. I take it the Fall of Man has, or the Heart of Daria will have a better defense than a regular one. Let's see, 6 Gores, 3 Bestigores, 2 Centigores versus 6 Gores, 3 Bestigores, 2 Centigores. No, it's actually identical to a regular Herdstone. Well, that's a little bit of a shame, but nonetheless, it's probably going to be fairly well defended. We got 3 Chaos Warriors there as reinforcements from the outpost, so thank you to Festi. Festi the bestie. In the name of Festus, we could build a Storm of Suffering here, but I think for now we're just going to start upgrading those Ruinous Seances everywhere. Hey, those are my favorite Seances. And trying to get those Chosen Sangors up and running. And I think we'll do another one right here in Varan. Which is you. not going to go overboard with this because we'll need a bunch of money over the next few turns to build up a few upgrades in Malagor's army and in in Kazarak's army, but a couple for now. And we need to get you to tier 3 so that we have access to Tsangors for our upcoming new force. Alrighty, I believe that's good, so we're going to skip outpost available and end the turn. And proceed to Grung Zint. Alright, I didn't check how many things this guy has remaining. But we'll see. And Grom, oh, let me guess, you want peace now. I guess he did want peace before, but that's not gonna happen. Oh, 5k, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not good enough for us to actually peace out with him. And I take it nobody else that can move now will attack us? Which is just fine. Alright, let's do a few names before we head into further battles. It's pretty much the only admin that we have other than army moves, and Taurox just got himself a plague on him. No matter how far, plus 50% campaign movement range. Well, that's just swell. Cost of skill, ooh. Dread capacity for, man. Not the ones we wanted. We have sufficient Harpies and Feral Manticores for now, and while it would be nice to get more Razorgore Chariots and Tuskgore Chariots, not in any of the current armies. Man, literally anything other than Ungors and these two would have been fantastic, but... Oh, man. Now I guess the question is, do we go for no matter how far, or do we go for when one falls? This will just completely counteract our auto-resolving issue. For a couple of turns, at least. No matter how far is really nice as well, but I think we're gonna go when one falls. It'll allow all of the armies to be at full HP, and it'll allow Malagor to head for the Icons of Vilification without possibly getting his army too damaged to continue where he is. Cost of skill. Why couldn't you be Minotaurs or something? Or Bestigors, or Gores, or anything other than you. 1-1 falls, yes. Alright, Taurox receives plague. Great for Taurox. Who the heck are you? Oleg Cracktooth. Little tiny savage orc army. Okay, well, good for you. Those savages, the Skull Takers, Grung Zint, you have 2 settlements remaining. Alright, well, we're nonetheless going to take Grung Zint. What the heck? Grung Zint is now in range of Kurun? That's weird. I swear I clicked it before and it had OC on here. And not Kurun. Does that mean we can't take this because it'll interfere with Kurun? I guess we could always raise it if we want to. Just pop the ritual and then raise it, if it does in fact interfere with Kurun. Alright, fine. That's what we'll do then. What do we have in terms of defenders here? Ooh, we got some black orcs, we got some biggins, some air boys. Alright, this one might actually be worth fighting. I guess it's a Taurox fighty kind of day, though many of them do tend to be. First of all, let's figure everybody else out. Kazarak, we need you to get that pelt totem up and running. I wonder if we can get enough ritual unlocked to unlock the next level of this to make it cheaper. Well, Suthas can't be ritual popped. We got 28 at Varan. Is that enough? We are at what currently? We are 286. The next level is between 320 and 500. So I don't know, basically. Actually, at 386, it'll be very, very close. I think it'll be just short. Damn. Alright, well, you know what? Taurox has already fought a couple times. I think we'll switch you to your stance, and it's time to do the Icons of Vilification and continue working on the various Dark Elf factions here, so we'll do that. First of all, let's see what you got. Mantle of Crows. We'll need this, including the Unending Flock of Doom, for your quest fight. And then Mr. Gorbel, Foe Seeker for you. Although I do want Destruction. But Foe Seeker first. Destruction later. But also destruction always. Alright, good enough for me. Let's see. Where are you, Icons of Vilifications? Give you a quick read. And what are we facing off against? A bunch of Empire forces. Oh, right, the Demigryphs. I remember you. We checked this previously, and I was concerned at how we were going to kill the Demigryphs, but I'm sure we'll be okay. What do we have here? It is not without reason and that Malagor is depicted as the arch-foe of Sigmar in tales and wood carvings throughout the Empire. He is the Dark Omen, despiser of all gods in opposition to his ruinous masters. The Dark Gods themselves bless Malagor's Brayherd, constantly whispering and muttering to him of the work still to do. They send the Dark Omen a vision of a burning temple in Grunberg, ruins of a civilization strewn across Averland, and finally a smoking, festering carcass of a griffin. All but the final act of defilement are fulfilled with ease, leaving Malagor with one final target. Upon the destruction of the knight's griffin will the Crowfather's foul fetishes be elevated to blasphemous icons of vilification. Swell. Alright, teleport. And, oh damn, they have bloody hellstorms, but well, we got fast-moving harpies, so we should be able to handle it. Just gotta be careful about where they spawn and where they hit the harpies. Don't really care about the Ungors, but we never did. This battle will be fought against the Knightly Order of the Empire. Armored manfilth will be a challenge, as they are tough to gore and mobile due to their treacherous beasts. Corner them at the river and deal with them quickly before reinforcements arrive. I'm willing to bet they'll arrive. Alrighty, here we go, a quest battle. It feels like it's been a bit of a while since we've had one of these, hasn't it? So it's nice that we'll be seeing one. We're going to start off with that Flock of Doom and that Vile Tide coming down on the enemy, and I'll be curious to see, once that Flock of Doom is done, how much damage Malagor will have dealt to the enemy. Of course, he's got no kills, but no kills does not mean no damage, as he's creeping rapidly towards 20k. And actually, by the looks of it, it'll be over 20k. Alright, very nice, very nice. The rest of our forces deployed all around, and 27k, actually closer to 30k from those two spells, and not too bad. Now, we don't know, or at least I don't know, because I don't remember, where the reinforcements are coming in on this map. So, while our melee units move together in their blob, we've actually set up our harpies all around the map separately, ready to attack those Hellstorm rocket batteries as soon as they move onto the field. We also have two sort of distinct groups of the manticores, one of them sort of moving in with the melee units, and the other moving in, getting ready to support Malagor. Speaking of Malagor, it's time to try out his special move, the summoning of those crows and the accompanying vortex. I'm curious to see how much damage the vortex does. And the defiled crows appear to be a carrion model. Interesting. Alright, we'll see how effective they are. What are their stats like? Oh, their melee attack is quite high at 50. They also cause bleed, so summoning them right in the middle of an enemy blob together with that vortex may not be the worst idea in the world. The weapon strength isn't crazy high, but they have 100 models and they're unbreakable to that. Alright, that's quite nice. Malagor's up to 41k, meaning this vortex is done at least 11k damage, and now we have an unbreakable unit on the field as well. All this damage having been done before the rest of our army arrives. Just Malagor flying over the battlefield, annoying the enemy who can do nothing about any of this. And he's gonna drop another Flock of Doom upon the enemy as well, and here come the Manticores finally, to give the enemy something to fight. Manticores will drop down on the enemy general here in an attempt to go after him, though it looks like he's going to run away. But half of the enemy are distracted by Malagor and by the crows around. I did want to drop Malagor in because his own area of effect, I believe, only activates when he's in melee, so he'll have to keep down here and keep annoying the enemy with as much Flocks of Doom and as much of his Mortis Engine ability as possible. Alright, and here comes another Vile Tide right into the middle of the enemy blob. And how's the rest of our army doing? So far, just those 3 Manticores have entered the fray, though over here, it looks like the enemy Demigryph Knights have decided to separate themselves from the rest of the enemy force, and have directly charged the Giant, Dirty Harry, and the Gorbel, and the rest of these forces. Doesn't seem like the best idea, as the other 3 Manticores will hit the Demigryphs in the back. And between the Giant, the Razor Gores, and our Gorbel here, I think that these guys have essentially given us the battle by doing this. The most threatening unit on the field, and they've sacrificed it without support for little to no reason. Out here, it looks like we've caught a unit of Pistoliers, and we'll be trying to go after an enemy unit of Empire Knights, though the Empire Knights are pretty trashy units. They are, however, certainly effective enough and heavily armored enough to deal with Harpies, because Harpies are super fragile, so we still have to be careful. Now that said, with sufficient Harpies and with the help of those Manticores, we should still be good enough to deal damage to those Knights and force them away. Man, getting some great shots of Malagor's army. Really enjoying all the Harpies flitting around and the Manticores leading them as well. And especially in these wooded areas. I used to hate battles where there was even like an inkling of wooded territory, but in this campaign and a few others I've really been enjoying and getting some nice shots. I remember in the Bretonia campaign there were some epic shots of the knights all charging through wooded terrain like this. Anyway, how we doing otherwise? It looks like the main enemy army has been destroyed, by and large I'm sure, and due to Malagor, who's up to 87k damage and 239 kills. The enemy's reinforcements have arrived over here, and that's why we kept several of our Harpy units waiting in the wings, getting ready to drop down on these guys wherever they appeared. They quickly get off like 2 or 3 rockets, but otherwise the unit will get destroyed by the Harpies before it can really do anything. Very nice. It looks like the enemy Hellstorm rocket batteries have been supported by a couple of units of, I believe these are swordsmen. And the swordsmen are going to get absolutely mobbed by flyers. It seems like a horrifying position to be in. You run in and you're surrounded by woods, there's Manticores and Harpies everywhere, there's a Malagor flying overhead dropping spells on you. Does not seem fun. Would not vacation in this wooded area again. Anyway, looks like this reinforcing army is done for, and that's one. We do have another one to deal with as soon as it appears, but it does seem like we've got this battle with, by the looks of it, relatively minimal damage, and there we go. There's where the reinforcements will arrive. Maybe should have separated a few of our range units even further, but it looks like the enemy will fire its Hellstorms at our Razor Gores, who we can just dodge those rockets with. And it's not like the Razor Gores would be all that threatened by the Hellstorm anyway. Funnily enough, the Harpies would probably take much more damage than the Razor Gores would. And the Harpies don't appreciate that possibility, so they will come down and rip into those artillery crew together with those Manticores. Oh. Hey, Manticore, you get pets. There you go, good job. Alrighty, and now it's just a simple matter of destroying the last 2 remaining swordsmen and the last of the Hellstorms. I think that this battle maybe was a battle that you were supposed to fight very early in the campaign, and to be fair, Malagor was the weakest army, and I guess remains the weakest army that we have in theory, though in practice it's a very decent against this type of army, and perhaps this battle was designed with that in mind, as in, while that particular army would be very threatening to an army full of Gores and stuff like that, not so threatening to piles of Harpies and other flyers, and Malagor's spell work, clearly. In fact, let's see how much damage he was able to deal over the course of the entire battle. There we go, not bad at all. The first enemy army collapsed far too quickly for those Hellstorms to come in and do anything. I'm also happy to see that Malagor has begun to come into his own as a lord, getting 100,000 damage in this particular battle. The ability that he got, the super flock of doom plus, or the permanent flock of doom around him, plus that other ability that allows him to summon those defiled crows, which are surprise, unbreakable, is very, very nice. Not much to do for our giant this time around, but that's okay. Dirty Harry, you'll have plenty to do. We are going to, I guess, keep taking money. More money means more dread means more units means more money, more dread, round and round the circle of destruction goes. Yes, sacrifice those caps. And attack-minded for you, sir. Barbarian, income from post-battle loot plus 5%, and there's those icons. Lovely. Oh, and it gives us horde growth additionally as well, and an additional Bray Shaman capacity, but I think we're still maxed out on those, so what can you do? You cannot reach Torque Horrendous, unfortunately. In fact, you can't reach anything. But oh well. What you can do is go into raiding stance. I'm wondering whether we should go into hidden encampment stance and build your giant building right now. It's 3.3k, it ain't that bad. Maybe this is a good time to do it. What's the directest path to here? I guess we'll just go this way. Do we need to go in our tower? This is not our territory anyway. Alright, fine. Just head directly towards Torque Horrendous. We could reduce this by possibly another 5%, but also possibly not, so why risk it? Alright, go right there. Hopefully the hidden encampment doesn't get found out because I moved too close. And let's get to you. Where are we? Oh, we could also start getting you a bunch of other upgrades, can't we? Now that you have a bunch of stuff that you can get for pretty cheap. Well, the Giant Slayer has to be the first thing that we get. We also do want to potentially get a couple of Incarnate Elemental Beasts in here. You don't actually care about the Dugout, which may warrant deleting it. I mean, maybe it might be useful to get a Wargore in here, but I still don't know what's in the Wargore's buffs. Yeah, you know what, this is probably a good time to build some upgrades for you, sir. Let's get to you, the breeding pens. Let's get to you. We probably want the Shaman's Flame Pit, if nothing else, for Shatterstone. Just for the Giants. It's not going to be anything crazy for them, but nonetheless. I mean, right now is probably a good retrofit time for Malagor anyway. Let's get Vile Entropy as well for Pile of Flesh. Get a little bit of constant replenishment as well. And we'll still have room for the Shaman's Flame Pit, but this way we won't have room for Metallic Remains. I was hoping to get that additional horde growth for all armies. I guess if we delete this, we could get that, though. So I guess that's what we're going to do. What does this do? Oh, this thing sucks. Okay, yeah. Let's get to you then, the Shaman's Flame Pit as a priority, and then we'll get the other thing depending on whether we delete this or not. I'm inclined to say we will, but it doesn't, and there's no guarantee of it, and depends. I mean, I suppose if we build another army, we could build the Wargore building in that other army, and then we won't have to worry about it. Anyway, Wargore, you've got places to be, sir. Go and ambush. Oh, are you? Okay, yeah, you can reach Strika, and let's hope that the ambush of yours succeeds. Come on. You can do it. Yes, you can, and we're not going to fight this because this is a waste of our time. It is probably going to hurt us, but we do have that extra replenishment, so we're fine. And it's not much Bestial Rage, but it's also not much money. Yeah, take the money. Alright, now Morgur, you do still need to go there and through the territories of the Golden Order, but do you still also... We could have you go northward to destroy the Ever-Living. It's just that they're right beside you, and you're right beside a port, so you could go down the river and hit Alanoff just from here. Which I think we're probably going to do. Korgoth Chaos Seeker, who I have renamed to Chaos Seeker, guess where we're going to send him? We're going to send him to find Chaos, specifically Skarbrand and Nakari and Kugath, all of those guys up north. We need to get their units and their alliances. Kazrak, you have completed your other Razor Gorge here. It's actually, you know what, before we get Kazrak moving, I said I was going to name some stuff. Let's get a few more names in there. Morgur, we'll start with you. What have I not named in here? I have not named this. Oh, I thought I named you guys. Well, my bad. We're definitely going to keep the Centaurs with great weapons, so we can name you freely. Spawn of Kragnos. Alright. A little bit of Age of Sigmar lore. Their Centaur God, and hoof it to the limit. And now it's stuck in my head again. Great. I just got over that. Alrighty, well, Centaurs, the regular Centaurs are going to get replaced here, so we don't need to do them. We have... Oh, I didn't name all the spawn. Okay. The Fetid Horde for you. And how about the beef blend... the beef blenders. Nice, and I don't know whether we're going to keep this one, so I'm going to leave it unnamed for now, just so I don't have to delete the name later if necessary. Kazrak, and do we want to name anything in your army? Well, we have all the doggos named. Oh, right, we're waiting for more Bestigors, don't we? Alright, well then, let's go to... Oh, you know what I did want to do? I wanted to name all of these guys. Let's do the hounds and the stuff. Oh, which are max level now. Well, not max level, but they are rank 7, which is great for them. Doggos, brass bull dogs. They won't stay in this army, alas, but it's okay. We don't need them in every single army, otherwise our armies would get too samey, and I'm not into that sort of thing. Giggle, Unleashed Hands of War. Alright, we need 2 more slush puppies. I don't want to think about the kind of slush that a Nurglite doggo. Anyway, plague dogs. Keeping it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. And Razor Gores, you too. Let's go... Bacon that bites back. I don't know why I didn't capitalize that, but it's too late for that. Alright, Baconators... And Stachelschwein. Okay, good luck spelling that, me. I'm just going to assume I spelled this correctly. Well, if I didn't, I didn't. Alright, and now I've lost track of what I was going to do, so let's attack. Alright, you, sir. Into Ruination stance, since we're at range of Grung Zint, if we're going to find this... If we're going to actually fight this, then we may as well move Kazrak first. Because there's this thing I wanted to do with Kazrak. Kazrak, I would like you to loop around Kiel here. Go, oh, this is your max range? Okay, maybe not so much. Wait. You need to head down to Essen. There's no roads, though. And... maybe it would be faster to go to Nagenhof than down this way. Could be the way to do it. We really need to pop this ritual as fast as we can, though. Alright, fine. Then just go down the road. Yeah, just go down the road. Actually, no. Go this way. I lied. Twice. Tech. Obviously, auto-resolve that. This is going to hurt you, but we don't care right now. Well, we have the when one falls casualty or punishment. We get... Well, we don't need the healing right now, so we'll loot and raise it for additional bestial rage as well. And you're gonna back off in an appropriate direction, good. We'll pop you into encamp stance, though, not raiding stance. And I guess we'll start moving you to... Oh, wow, Nagenhof is far. Alright, fine, maybe we'll start with Essen then. What I want to do is keep you in this territory, so that A, we'll heal up to full, and B, we'll build the pit hovel here, so that next turn we can unlock Warg Wars and build some of them. We will keep the pits of horror here, but we don't really need them. We should probably get you up and running. This is for the chariots. This is the Shaman's Flame Pit, which we could build, or at least we can afford. Maybe we'll get the breeding stock just for the additional post-battle loot. I know, this isn't Dread, but, well, not everything can be Dread, I guess. Actually, speaking of Dread, before, just so I don't forget, Warg Wars. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many Warg Wars we're gonna need, but that should be sufficient. And, oh, we can actually build another Bray Shaman. I was not expecting that. But I am happy about it. Alrighty, what's also gonna make me happy is attacking with Taurox. Let's do that. Do we need to level you? You know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna give you a healing potion, temporarily. Just so that you can heal over this battle. We got that other one after all. And we're gonna save some of the items for new heroes and new lords. And you know what? While we're here, let's level you up. What did I get last time? I think, oh, I got Corruption, so we're still heading towards Arcane Conduit. A little bit of Spellmaster. It's not the greater Arcane Conduit, but whatever. Alrighty, you, sir, level up. You have to get into Flock of Doom, which we will be... Oh, damn it. Scouting again. I keep getting screwed over by that. Call to Morsleep, and let me guess, call to Morsleep as well. Good enough for me. Let's hit Grung Zint now. A close victory. There's some Black Orcs to be facing off against and some big uns, but I doubt they stand much of a chance against Taurox. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Feels like it's been a bit of a while since Taurox has done himself a siege, and at least here the Black Orcs could, in theory, and give him some pause. What will not be giving him pause, however, is the walls, as we now have access to Shatterstone and can head directly into the city without worrying about pesky gates or pesky walls. Looks like Taurox is going to charge after the enemy Black Orc war boss here. Or big boss, rather, while the rest of the army heads into those Orc Error Boys and Orc Biggins. The enemy boss has no chance whatsoever against Taurox. Look at his tiny little axe compared to the Taurox's rune-tortured axes. It's just not gonna fly, and I don't think that shield is stopping the axe either, seeing as how the shield is roughly the size of the axe. How are we doing? And one more hit, I think, of the Black Orc Big Boss will be done. He's going to try to book it out of there, but too little, too late. Taurox seems to have missed, but I don't think he missed that time, exploding the enemy war boss, and I just see a shield with legs now. Well, hey, at least he kept the shield with a nice roll. Spin to win, roll to win. Alright, well, the rest of our forces continues making their way into the enemy settlement, and here are the Black Orcs attempting to hold us up, but they've got Gorbulls and Minotaurs to deal with, and obviously these are very much buffed up by Taurox. And the Gorbulls also have that roll to win animation, and can get right into the middle of the enemy infantry formation, though we do have to be careful about that, as they might, in theory, get surrounded by the Black Orcs, and with those axes, they are a threat to everybody that isn't named Taurox. Oh wow, you can do that goring animation to Biggins as well? Damn, I didn't expect that. And Black Orcs as well, oh my. Well, that's effective. I didn't expect that for some reason. I thought that the Black Orcs would be too big and too heavily armored for that. Gotta be pretty heavy, but I guess, I mean, even that kind of weight is relatively meaningless to a bull. / Minotaur. Alright, well, it looks like the first of the units of Black Orcs have been pretty much decimated down to 21 and are routing. There is a unit of Orc Biggins here, but we're going to ignore them in favor of rushing past them and going after these units of Orc Error Boys. Mostly just to bring them down and then move past them into the enemy Boar Boys that are congregating around here. 2 with full HP, not even moving in to help the Error Boys, which are being completely overrun by Taurox's Death Star. Oh, look at him run. There you go, Taurox. Taurox doesn't care. In fact, he'll charge right through the Error Boys into what he hopes is a better fight in the Boar Boys, but it looks like the Boar Boys want no part of this either. Kind of interesting to see that the cavalry just plain refuses to engage, especially considering it's Orc cavalry. Well, they can't run forever, as Taurox is faster than them, and they're also poisoned due to the Warhounds of Pestilence there. So they're going to have to fight eventually, but they won't be fighting for long, as now that they are engaged, they're going to have to deal with the much more threatening Minotaurs. Are also going to pop a Vissen's Wild Form. This is our second Vissen's Wild Form, and it buffs up Taurox to 1.2k weapon strength without any of his abilities, so it's pretty darn nice. And of course it buffs up the rest of our units, where Minotaurs hit for 308 weapon strength, and that's the shielded ones, and about half of that is armor piercing. It's about equivalent damage to the Chaos Spawn, except for the fact that the Chaos Spawn mostly do non-armor-piercing damage. Anyway, now that the enemy have been cleared of Boar Boys, we're moving back around. Looks like they've reformed a few of those Error Boys units, and the towers are still annoying us, but hopefully not too much. And we're going to try to make our way up the hill. There are 2 more units of Black Orcs to contend with. Unfortunately, no Arachnaroks, but from what we've seen of Taurox so far, I don't imagine he'd have too much trouble dealing with Arachnaroks anyway. We could just send him to hunt them down as needed. Alright, and the Biggins will bravely attempt to hold us back, but it will fail. Spoiler alert. Alright, dropping to about half HP from that first charge. Taurox is among some of the Orc Error Boys, allowing a little bit of action for the other units. Otherwise, he gets all the fun. Let's see how much damage the Black Orcs are dealing right now. You have lost about, well, nearly half of your HP now, especially now that the Gorbals are fighting, and you've dealt 1.3k. It's something. It's certainly something. Not nothing. Alright, very nice, very nice. I like those axes of the Gorbals. They're very easy to spot and all golden and, I don't know, brassy, and they stand out, which I appreciate. Makes them much easier to pick out from the various Minotaurs. I used to just look at the bull forms and was having a hard time, but then I realized you just have to look for the axes and you can spot them real easy. Alright, very nice. Looks like the second unit of Black Orcs shatters and is pretty much destroyed, down to 13 units. We're going to quickly move on by to capture a few key buildings while we break down the barricade over here. Gonna take a little bit of time. What I probably should have done is try to use Shatter on this. I don't know if it works, because I've never tried. Alright, next time that there's a barricade, I'm going to try to use Shatter on it, just out of curiosity, to see whether it can bring them down, because I think we had 3 uses on it, I want to say. I used 2 to break through the walls here, and there are more. Alright, anyway, regardless, we've got more Black Orcs to take care of, who are going to move to block this last way up the ramp and into the enemy settlement. Though their mass is just not sufficient to hold Taurox back. He just doesn't care. Ouch. Yeah, that one decided to not move out of his way, and, well, that's what happens. Alright, a third Emerson's Wild Form. I do like the spell, as you guys can probably tell. Coming down on our mob of units. I use this spell a lot when playing the Lizardman. Certainly like the lore of beasts a lot more than I used to back when it was released, but it's quite nice. And I do think, well, Beastmen, it does work quite well with the Beastmen. Because it compromises for their weakness in armor, and Pan's Impenetrable Pelt compromises for their, well, relative fragility and their proneness to getting wrecked by range stuff when visible at the very least. A nice synergy there. Anyway, let's see, the Black Orcs are pretty much done. We just got a little bit more ways to go up this ramp. A few more enemy troops will move down, but these are just Error Boys, and yeah, there we go. They're engaged now. Of course, they can fight in melee. The Error Boys are well, say, I don't want to say decent melee fighters, but they can certainly fight in melee, unlike goblin archers. But let's be real here, they can't really fight in melee against minotaurs and really anything we have here. Anyway, continue making our way up. We've run out of Wissen's Wild Form, or at the very least it's on cooldown, so we're just gonna pop the Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. The missile resistance not being crazy useful to us here, but at the very least the damage resistance at 18% is very, very valuable. And nonetheless, last of the enemy troops will hold us at the top of the ramp, but it looks like they're all starting to rout. I see the leadership drop, and it looks like without needing to capture that victory location, which I wanted to do to get rid of this tier 4 tower, the enemy army will shatter, and the settlement will be ours. Very nice. Very nice indeed. I did send around a unit of pigs and a unit of doggos to capture the key location so that we could capture this point, but I guess the tower was able to fire for the entire duration of the combat. I really wish that we could get stats on the damage dealt by towers, because in some battles it certainly appears that the towers do more damage than the enemy armies do, and I'd just like to see how much. Alright, very nice, very nice. Another fourth battle of this particular episode. I guess if nothing else, whatever you say about the Beastmen, you can get a lot of battles very quick, which is just great. We are going to... 5.4k to loot and raise. I think it would probably cost less to recolonize, so we might want to loot, raise, and then raise a herd stone? Alright, fine. Loot and raise. Stop moving, bud. Let's see. How much would it cost to recolonize? 3.2, yes, so it's a gain that way. Another spawn wrangler. A flayer for Kazrak. Sure, why not? And the Vorbergland Broodmother Jabberslave is now available as well. Morgar, we got a present for you. You can lose your Ungor herd with axes, I guess. Yeah. Alright, you lose the Ungor herd with X's and then get the Vorbergland Broodmother. Alright. Now let's see, what do you do? What's so special about you? Your anti-infantry, armor sundering, and we got bestial monster dominance, searing bio-blood, toxic venom when engaged in melee, and we've got that monster presence, but well, so does everything else. And the greater aura of madness, so more Mortis engine effects. We gotta stack a few more in this army and get the get the incarnate elemental beasts in here, on top of Morgar's own Mortis engine effect, and any other Mortis engine effect we can acquire just to continue being as nasty and Mortisy as possible. Alright, I believe... Alright, we were going to recolonize this place, weren't we? What if we take Landrel Barrow instead? That actually won't reach... Maybe it would be better not to colonize it and then take Landrel Barrow, which holds Grung Zint, but will also grab Tancred Castle and Chantillon all the way to the edge. Plenty of area denial this way. Yeah, fine, you know what, I like that better. And, ooh, hopefully Oleg Kraktu stays here, and hopefully, oh, we can reset our movement again. Oh, Taurox. You're disgusting. I love you. Let's go into then ambush. Do we need to fight you? I know, we just fought a bunch of orcs. We haven't fought savage orcs. They do have a couple of giants. You know what, I might fight this just for fun. I don't think these guys have much of a chance, and no, it's only a level 3. You know, now, honestly, it's probably not worth it. And we just fought orcs a bunch of times, and even while these guys do have giants, with such a low-level war boss and the relatively low defenses on these guys, probably not worth our time. Either way, we're going to replenish the movement. And I guess we'll just auto-resolve this real quick and kill it just because it's in the way. No other reason. Yeah, we can't ask the Skaven or anybody to join them. And go. Yes, declare war. Yes, attack. Yes, war declared. Thank you, and... ambush successful and medium casualties. And well, you know what? I don't like that. However, we are out of time, and I am going to call the episode here, as honestly 5 battles in a single episode would be, it would be a little bit much in the way of editing. It's already a huge pain to edit more than 2 battles into an episode, which usually doesn't happen with most campaigns, but with Beastmen, we're getting 3 and 4 pretty much every episode, so a bit different in that way. Anyway, I'm gonna call this here instead. We will start off next episode immediately with this ambush against Oleg Kraktu, and mostly because it's saying casualties medium, so they got at least something of a chance. Then we'll continue rampaging all the way, hopefully next episode, to Kurun with Taurox, and well, everybody will continue, and we'll get our newest, our 5th army on the field next episode as well, and start building that one up. So stay tuned for all that. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially to Threshold if you're into that sort of thing. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.